Hello, everyone. We have Venerable Bhante Sumitta with us today. He is the founder of Dhamma USA, a US based nonprofit organization started with the aim of community care and spiritual care activities. Bhante is actively engaged in social welfare. He conducts Dhamma talks, Sutta discussions, meditations, and Pali language classes, apart from helping underprivileged families and children in Sri Lanka. He is also helping with children education in India. Currently, he works as faculty at Right Mindfulness Training Academy. He works with many Buddhist temples with his Dhamma sharing and meditation classes. Prior to arriving in the United States, Bhante Sumitta was working at the Bhiksu University of Sri Lanka as a senior lecturer in English. He has completed 2 bachelor's degree and 3 master degrees before accomplishing his doctoral degree at the University of the West. I welcome you, Venerable Bhante, for today's Dhamma session and request you to please give a Dhamma talk. Today's topic is Ambalaṭṭhika-Rāhulovāda Sutta from Majjhima Nikaya number 61. Thank you.
Please say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato 3 times.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Buddham saranam gacchami.
Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Duteyang pe Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Duteyang pe Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Duteyang pe Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tateyang pe Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Tateyang pe Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tateyang pe Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Saranaгаmanang Sangpunnang.
Bhante
Panati Pata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Kamesu Miccācara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Kamesu Miccācara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
මුසාවාදා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි.
මුසාවාදා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි.
සුරාමේරය මජ්ජපමා දට්ඨානා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි.
සුරාමේරය මච්ඡපමාදඨානා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි.
තිසරණේන සද්ධින් පංචශීලං ධම්මං සාධුකං සුරක්ඛිතං කତ୍වා අපමාදේන සම්පාදේ තබ්බං.
Bhante sadhu sadhu sadhu.
समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस् සුනන්තු සග්ග මොක්ඛදං ධම්ම ශ්‍රවණ කාලෝ අයං භදංතා ධම්ම ශ්‍රවණ කාලෝ අයං භදංතා ධම්ම ශ්‍රවණ කාලෝ අයං භදංතා. නමෝ තස් භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. නමෝ තස් භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. නමෝ තස් භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. එවං මේ සුතං ඒකං සමයං භගවා රාජගහේ විහෙරති වේලුවනේ කලන්දක නිවාපේ තේන කෝපන සමයේන ආයස්මා රාහුලෝ අම්බලට්ඨිකායං විහෙරති අතකෝ භගවා සායන්හ සමයං පටිසල්ලානා වුට්ඨිතෝ යේන අම්බලට්ඨිකා යේනායස්මා රාහුලෝ තේනුපසංකමි. අද්දසාඛෝ ආයස්මා රාහුලෝ භගවන්තං දුරතෝ ආගච්ඡන්තං දිස්වාන ආසනං පඤ්ඤාපේසි උදකංච පාදානං නිසීදි භගවා පඤ්ඤත්තේ ආසනේ නිසජ්ජ පාදේ පක්ඛාලේසි ආයස්මාපි khෝ රාහුලෝ භගවන්තං අභිවාදෙත්වා ඒකමන්තං නිසීදීති. Very good morning to all our Dhamma friends. Today's Dhamma talk is Ambalaṭṭhika-Rāhulovāda Sutta of Majjhima Nikāya. Majjhima Nikāya 61. In Majjhima Nikāya there are 152 suttas, and the entire Majjhima Nikāya is divided into three. Like the first 50 suttas That section is called Mula Pannasaka, the first 50 suttas. The second 50 suttas, that section is called Majjhima Pannasaka. And the last 52 suttas, that section is called Uparipannasaka. So the beginning, the middle, and the end. So all these 52 suttas are really powerful suttas. Very interesting teachings are imbibed into these 152 suttas. Majjhima Nikaya 62 Sutta, Ambalaṭṭhika-Rāhulovāda Sutta, talks about the Buddha's connection again with his own son. And as we know, according to the history, Rahula was just born 7 days before his father, the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, decided to renounce worldly life in his quest for enlightenment. Interestingly, the Bodhisattva did not have the opportunity to see his newborn son before leaving. This sets the stage for a poignant father-son dynamic. So, the first encounter between the Bodhisattva, now the Buddha, and Rahula occurred during the Buddha's initial visit to Kapilavatthu after attaining enlightenment. This emphasizes the separation between the father and son during the early years. So after many years of departure, and the father-son again meets each other. Very interesting and intense dramatic moment takes place here. Upon the Buddha's return to Kapilavatthu, Rahula approaches him and asks for his inheritance. In the context of Buddhism, this request likely pertains to spiritual teachings rather than material possessions. So when he was asking for inheritance, it was not the material prosperity that he was seeking for. It was the spiritual possessions, spiritual teachings, spiritual energy that he was searching for. This event signifies Rahula's early interest and commitment to the path of enlightenment. And at the age of 7, Rahula is ordained into the order as a novice or Samanera by Venerable Sariputta, one of the Buddha's chief disciples. The Buddha acknowledges Rahula's eagerness for training. He was foremost among those eager to train. So he was called Sikkhamananam. So Sikkhamana is the one who is eager to train, and declares him to be foremost among those monks aspiring for such training. This highlights Rahula's exceptional dedication to spiritual development at such a young age. And also, there are so many wonderful qualities of Venerable Rahula. He had all the reasons to be very egocentric, super ego, and also want to be in the limelight all the time. But he was so simple, so humble, and his humility is tremendously amazing. Really exceptional when it comes to those wonderful humility that he was showing in his lifetime. He didn't want to come out and show himself as the father of the son of the Buddha. He did not want to be respected or highlighted everywhere, wherever he goes. No, he was very humble and very simple. In summary, this sheds light on the familial and spiritual aspects of Rahula's early life, illustrating the unique circumstances of his birth, the separation from his father, and his enthusiastic initiation into the monastic order under the guidance of the Buddha and Sariputta. Now, not to forget the fact that the Buddha left Rahula. He Prince Siddhartha left Rahula, left Yasodhara, left King Suddhodana, and left his kingdom, everything. All those material prosperities he had, he left them all behind, only to come back after enlightenment as a different person to rescue each and every one of them from the entire circle of samsara. So we should remember that as well. Sometimes people take it for granted that he left them he was rude and unkind. But there was a reason. If he was staying with the family, with the kingdom, with all those material lifestyle, today you and I would never ever talk about that character again. But today we talk about the Buddha, we talk about Prince Siddhartha, we talk about Yasodhara, we talk about King Suddhodana, we talk about the Buddha, because he renounced the world for a wonderful, wonderful purpose, a selfless commitment that he was searching for so lifetimes, so many lifetimes, and only to rescue many millions and millions of suffering people, and also devas and other sentient beings in this samsara. So the sutta begins by highlighting the Buddha's instruction to Rahula regarding the unwholesomeness of lies, unwholesomeness of lying, false speech. This underscores the ethical importance of truthfulness in one's conduct. The Buddha imparts guidance to Rahula on practicing truth telling and exercising restraint in speech. This emphasizes the ethical principles of honesty and mindful communication. The sutta introduces the concept of guarding the three doors of action. How many doors do we have? We have three doors: the body, speech, and mind. The metaphor of a mirror is used to illustrate the need for reflection before, during, and after any action. This emphasizes the importance of mindfulness in all aspects of life. I remember in another context where the Buddha talks about practicing dana. When you practice generosity, you need to be mindful in three occasions. We call Pubba Chetana, Munchana Chetana, and Apara Chetana. Pubba Chetana is the volition prior to the practice of generosity, and Munchana Chetana is the occasion that really takes place, the action of generosity. So that time is called Munchana Chetana, and where the action is executed. And then Apara Chetana is the afterwards, so aftermath of the practice of generosity. In all these three occasions, one has to be mindful not to pollute his wonderful, wholesome spiritual practice. And similarly, here, the Buddha talks about how we have to be um, mindful and reflect upon our actions, bodily, verbally, and mentally, before, during, and after any action. So, three parables are there: one, the water pot, and then the royal elephant, and then a mirror. These are employed to impress upon Rahula the significance of avoiding lies. Even in jest, even for a joke, we should not tell lies. That's the Buddha's advice to Venerable Rahula. These parables use vivid imagery to convey moral lessons. The Buddha transitions from using imagery to teaching in terms of ideas or principles, or what we call Dhamma, related to the three doors of action. Again, verbal, that is the speech, and bodily, that is the body, and then the mentally, the mind. These three doors of action, we have to be careful. The guidance emphasizes the wise consideration of one's actions before, during, and after engaging in them. The sutta concludes with a noteworthy statement asserting the universal moral virtue inherent in actions, guided, guided by truthfulness and ethical conduct. This emphasizes the broader significance of following such principles. The passage highlights the Ambalaṭṭhika-Rāhulovāda Suttas mentioned in the Babru rock edict of Ashoka. This is really interesting. So this sutta has been mentioned in one of the historical inscriptions, rock edicts in India, indicating its recognition as a text that should be frequently listened to and reflected upon by monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen. So, although it was specifically uh, preached to Venerable Rahula, it is applied to all of us, all monks and nuns, and all laymen and laywomen. The sutta is praised as an example of using an object to teach Dhamma to the young, indicating a pedagogical approach that employs practical examples and vivid metaphors. So, over here, we can also see the Buddha's amazing capacity as such a wonderful, wonderful teacher, and how he uses those visual aids, those powerful pedagogical methods to teach something to his students. So, in summary, the Ambalaṭṭhika-Rāhulovāda Sutta is a teaching by the Buddha that underscores the ethical principles of truthfulness, restraint in speech, and mindfulness in actions. The use of parables, metaphors, and a systematic structure enhances the effectiveness of teaching, making it accessible and memorable for its audience. Um, According to the commentaries, the Ambalaṭṭhika-Rāhulovāda Sutta and the Kumara Panya Sutta were imparted to Venerable Rahula when he was just 7 years old and a novice monk. The incident where an 18-year-old Rahula harbored impure thoughts during an alms round illustrates the ongoing guidance provided by the Buddha. The Buddha's awareness of Rahula's thoughts emphasizes the depth of the teacher-student relationship. It's not only father-son relationship, but also teacher-student relationship. And he was constantly looking after uh, Rahula, and he was constantly helping him come out of the samsara, constantly helping him go along the path, progress the spiritual path. So he was actually helping him to mold. He started this young little prince, 7-year old. He was just a bud, and it was taking some time for this little young boy of so much merit, so much virtues, and so much fortune to actually be exposed to the spiritual realm. So he was under the constant guidance and shelter and protection of Venerable Sariputta, the foremost among the Buddha's, first disciple. And so Buddha was still, although he was such a busy master, a spiritual master, he was still looking for Sariputta, Rahula, how to help him. And also we need to remember that his compassion was equal to Rahula, to Yasodhara, to Devadatta, to Angulimala, to everyone else. So that's really, really important too. And over here, we have a text name Rahula Sutta, each addressing distinct aspects of the Dhamma. There are the Chatukka Rahula Sutta explores the 4 elements, while the Anusaya Rahula Sutta focuses on latent tendencies. There are many different suttas actually in Samyutta Nikaya. There is a Rahula Samyutta, particularly dedicated to Venerable Rahula. The Mananuyasa Sutta and the Manapagata Sutta delve into overcoming conceit, mana. And the Kalyanamitta Rahula Sutta, very interesting sutta again, centers on spiritual friendship, Kalyanamitta. The inclusion of disambiguating prefixes highlights the diversity of teachings associated with Rahula, providing a comprehensive guide to different aspects of Buddhist practice. For example, Kalyanamitta Sutta in the Sutta Nipata emphasizes the importance of spiritual friendship. This sutta serves as a practical guide for Rahula on how to prepare for meditation, underlining the significance of companionship and guidance on the spiritual path. So that reminds us, you and I also need the company of a wonderful Kalyanamitta friend who can help us, who can guide us, who can lead us towards the right path. Very, very interesting and very, very important. So the teachings to Rahula span various stages of his life, addressing a specific challenges and aspects of spiritual growth. The diversity of Rahula Suttas reflects the multifaceted nature of Buddhist teachings, providing guidance on elements, latent tendencies, conceit, and the role of spiritual friendship. The continuous guidance by the Buddha, even as Rahula matures, showcases the personalized and responsive nature of Buddhist pedagogy. The teachings not only focus on theoretical aspect, but also practical instructions such as preparing for meditation, indicating a holistic approach to spiritual development. So in summary, the teachings to Rahula underscores the nuanced and progressive nature of Buddhist guidance, covering a range of topics relevant to his spiritual journey and highlighting the adaptability of the teachings to different life stages. So, when we teach, when we learn about the life story, biography of Venerable Rahula, we ourselves can be so much benefited from these wonderful teaching, especially, for example, in today's context, like when a young monk is taught how we have to consider different stages of that young monk's life. If he is a teenager, if he is even early stage of that little boy's life, and when you become like matured, slowly growing, slowly stepping into your prime youth, how to take care of the young people's mindset. Even in Rahulovāda Sutta, there is I think Maharahulovāda Sutta. So there is a case where Venerable Rahula was having kind of a conceit about his own. He was kind of having an unwholesome thought, like he was comparing, wow, the Buddha physical figure and his own young physical figure. Then he was kind of having some conceit, mana, ego. And then Buddha realized it, and then he gave him advices accordingly. So during that time of the life, it is very natural that all of us can have such things. And then how to very carefully, very mindfully train ourselves by not falling into the traps of all these uh, falls, ups and downs. So we have to be careful. And this story of Reverend Rahula, Venerable Rahula, is so important because of that. So the Rahula Samyutta is found in the Samyutta Nikaya and consists of teachings given by the Buddha to Rahula on various occasions. And this collection spans Rahula's time for joining the monastic order to his eventual attainment of arahanthood. And Rahula Samyutta is organized into 2 subchapters, each containing 10 suttas, making a total of 22 suttas. That's a lot of suttas. And the section is part of the Nidana Vagga, which focuses on the links or factors in the causal chain of dependent origination. The first 10 suttas in the Rahula Samyutta cover the 3 characteristics, as we know, anicca, dukkha, and anatta, impermanence, suffering, and non-self, in relation to various groups of phenomena. These include internal and external sense bases, classes of consciousness, and the aggregates, among others. The second chapter repeats the same 10 suttas to Rahula, indicating a reinforcement or encore to ensure a thorough understanding. 2 additional suttas in this subchapter focuses on instructing Rahula on abandoning the conceptions of I and mine and overcoming the tendency of conceit. Again, the significance of arrangement. So the arrangement of these suttas is significant. I'm actually explaining these things as a background to this particular sutta, how important it is for us to understand these different suttas and different stages of Venerable Rahula's spiritual maturity. Um, so many suttas related to Venerable Rahula they are so important to understand the gravity, the profundity of this Rahula's spiritual maturity. The arrangement of the suttas is significant, demonstrating a progression from simpler individual topics to their presentation as a set of five aggregates, for example. The repetition followed by teachings on abandoning self-related notions and conceit reflects a structured approach to guide Rahula's understanding and practice. So now if we go to the sutta, Venerable Rahula um, before that I think I should explain this thing also. Like the commentaries highlight Venerable Rahula's commitment and diligence by describing his practice of rising early in the morning and holding a handful of sand and aspiring to receive guidance from the Buddha, preceptor and teachers. This is really, really amazing. All of us need to do this action, like every single day, praying and wishing for receiving guidance from the Buddha, from our preceptors, and from teachers, from many Kalyanamitta friends. The Buddha's acknowledgement of Rahula as the foremost among monks aspiring for training underscores the significance placed on sincere dedication in the pursuit of spiritual attainment. Rahulovāda Sutta recounts a pivotal moment in Rahula's life, for example. Given shortly after his high ordination at the age of 20, he describes how Rahula attains arahanthood after listening to a discourse by the Buddha on the development of insight. This emphasizes the transformative power of the Buddha's teachings and Rahula's receptivity to them. And so this is also very important. One, we need to think how the Buddha was executing his spiritual teaching methodology to teach Venerable Rahula. And on the other part, Venerable Rahula was very humble and very simple, and he left all his ego down to receive that teaching. And so it's not easy to counterattack one's own ego. For example, being a son of the Buddha is not so easy because underneath he naturally could have built up so many things, but this wonderful, virtuous, meritorious son, it was a different story. So in Theragatha also we have 295 and 98 containing verses attributed to Rahula, providing further insights into his reflections and experiences on the path of enlightenment. Okay, so his morning practice, morning kind of ritual, it symbolizes a profound dedication to learning and spiritual growth. And Buddha's recognition of Rahula's diligence underscores the importance of earnest effort and aspiration in the Buddhist path. So you and I have to be very uh, mindful about it. And you and I have to be even more humbler when it comes to receive advices, receive admonitions from our spiritual masters, leaders, guides, and Kalyana Mitra friends. Then only we can actually be exposed to the final liberation. I think I should go to the sutta now, as we have been. There are many things that I would have um, loved to explain more, but this um, this sutta um, will be very helpful if we can also go to the real sutta itself. And so what happens here? Once the Blessed One was dwelling at the squirrel's feeding ground, we call um, squirrel's feeding ground in the bamboo grove. Rajagane Viharati Veluvane Kalandakanimape, that is bamboo grove in near Rajagaha. During that period, the Venerable Rahula resided at Ambalaṭṭhika. After the Blessed One emerged from his evening retreat, so every time Buddha um, went to deep samadhi, he woke up and then he would go to meet someone. So after meditating, he would go to meet someone. Very interesting. He proceeded to the location where the Venerable Rahula was staying at Ambalaṭṭhika. Observing the Blessed One approaching from a distance, the Venerable Rahula promptly arranged a seat and water for washing the feet. And these are traditional customs those days, like washing feet of the master. Seating himself on the prepared seat, the Blessed One washed his feet. In response, the Venerable Rahula paid respect to the Blessed One, bowing down, and then took a seat beside him. So, by the side of the Buddha, he would sit, not right in front of the Buddha. This also is a traditional custom those days. And so over here, we can see the Blessed One visiting Venerable Rahula, and he explains setting and characters, these introduction. Thus have I heard, signifying the start of a Buddhist discourse. We see many suttas like Evang Me Sutta. And then we can see many suttas also at the same squirrels feeding ground in the bamboo grove near Rajagaha. Rajagahe Viharati Veluvane Kalandakanivape. We have heard many suttas. And Venerable Rahula, one of the Buddha's prominent disciples, and his son is staying there. And now, very important to remember how the parable of water in a pot. So when the Blessed One, after leaving a small amount of water in a vessel, addressed Venerable Rahula, he asked Rahula if he observed the remaining water, to which Rahula affirmed, yes, Bhante, I see some water left. And the Blessed One then drew a parallel straight that just as the water vessel contains only small amount of water, the monastic life of those who have no shame in deliberately lying is similarly diminished. So, just as that little water, so is the shallowness of monastic life. If you continue to have the habit of deliberately lying, very um, Buddha highlights the importance of truthfulness, not to tell lies, no matter what. Disposing of the remaining water, the Blessed One continued to teach Rahula. He asked if Rahula noticed how the small amount of water was discarded. And then Blessed One drew a simile explaining that just as the remaining water is discarded, the monastic life for those lacking shame in deliberate lying is similarly cast away. Turning the water vessel upside down, the Blessed One prompted Rahula to observe this transformation. Look at this teaching methodology that the Buddha was teaching. It was not just verbal, but just action. So many examples, and how easy for someone to see those visual aids when he was using those things. Now, drawing another analogy, the Buddha, the Blessed One, likened the upside down water vessel to the overturned monastic life of individuals who lack shame in telling deliberate lies. Returning the water vessel to its upright position, the Blessed One directed Rahula's attention to now new empty and hollow container. And the Blessed One was asking. um, the Blessed One used this final comparison, stating that just as the water vessel is empty and hollow, the monastic life of those without shame in telling deliberate lies is similarly devoid of substance and integrity. This is really, really powerful. And then then the Buddha also uses again the water, leaving a bit of water and then turning upside down and then turning up again, and all these ways he was explaining Venerable Rahula the hollowness, the emptiness, and the uselessness of monastic life if one is committed to telling lies, and if one has the habit of telling lies. I think it is not only for lay people, not only for monastic people, but also for lay people. It's so important to think of the truthfulness. If you become truthful, you will be trusted, you will be respected, you will gain lot of good image, public respect for being truthful. And wherever you go, you will be respected. So very important to be truthful. The parable of royal elephant again, imagine Rahula, a majestic royal elephant. Its tusks are as long as chariot poles and fully grown into fit to bear burdens with a noble lineage. Accustomed to battles, it utilizes its forefeet, hind feet, forequarters, hindquarters, head, ears, tusks, and tail in battle, but it guards and protects its trunk. So, observing this, the elephant rider reflects those. This is actually also a part of those days, how the elephants were used in traditional battles, and how when the elephant is trained to completely sacrifice his own life, complete life, for the protection of the king. That was part of the training. And same thing, um, the recognizing the elephant's prowess in battle and its careful protection of the trunk. The rider concludes that the royal elephant has not surrendered its life. So over here, um, the trunk is the lifeline of elephant. If little bit of trunk is cut off, like the tip of the tongue, the trunk is cut off, then the elephant can't suck anything. He can't survive. He will die. literally, if he has no help from someone else, the elephant can survive. So that part of the elephant is so vital for his life. And over here, he it is said he does not surrender completely to the king. He protects his own trunk. And over here, the Buddha says, and if you are a true practitioner, you have to be completely you have to completely surrender um, the whole thing. And just like you are complete, without any shame, without shame, you can do any wrongdoing otherwise. So the teaching encourages Rahula to train himself to refrain from deliberate lies, emphasizing the significance of cultivating a sense of shame and moral restraint. The parable of the royal elephant is a metaphorical teaching by the Buddha to Venerable Rahula, using the behavior of a royal elephant in battle as an analogy for the consequences of lacking shame in telling deliberate lies. So, and the other one, the royal elephant characteristics. Um, the elephant is described with impressive features, long tusks, fully grown and fit for burdens, and a noble pedigree. So it's battle trained, using various body parts in combat. Not only like the elephant is fully trained in combat, and it protects its trunk, means it's not still dedicated completely. And eventually we see the Buddha draws a parable between the behavior of the royal elephant and an individual lacking shame in telling deliberate lies. So just as the elephant using its trunk suggests total commitment, a person without shame in lying is considered capable of any wrongdoing. So, advice to Rahula over here, the Buddha trains himself not to tell deliberate lies, even in jest. And the teaching underscores the importance of cultivating shame and moral restraint, highlighting the potential of serious consequences when one lacks integrity. For example, we call hiri and ottappa, shame to do wrong things and fear to do wrong things. If you don't have these two, um, hiri and ottappa, shame and fear, that is like deva dhamma, it is said, the dhamma of the devas. And then you can do anything. You have the potential to do breach any moral conduct. So it's really, really important to have this wonderful practice. There is another parable over here, actually, the parable of the mirror. The Blessed One asked Rahula about the purpose of a mirror, and Rahula responds that mirror is used for reviewing or reflecting. And similar to the function of a mirror for reflection, bodily action should be carried out only after careful and repeated reviewing. Verbal actions should be performed only after thorough and repeated reflection. Mental action should be undertaken only after constant and careful reflection. So, the parable likens the purpose of a mirror for reflection to the importance of thoughtful and repeated reflection before engaging in bodily, verbal, and mental actions. So, the significance of mindfulness and careful consideration in one's conduct. I think we all can do this. When we go to the mirror, we see our reflection, right? I think every single day you go to the mirror. How many times in a day you go to in front of the mirror, and how many times you think you see your body and um, different pimples, dimples and pimples and something or the other, wrinkles and all these things in your body, spots. And I think when we keep the mirror spotless, it's easier for us to see ourselves, and then through that, the Buddha teaches us how to reflect our own mind. Very, very important. So the parable of the mirror is a concise teaching by the Buddha to the Venerable Rahula, using the metaphor of a mirror to convey the importance of reflection and mindfulness in one section. Um, so, yeah. And when we review um, bodily actions like not only body, verbal and mental too. And when we talk about the bodily actions in the sutta, it is said bodily exercise thoughtfulness before acting. So, Rahula, whenever you intend to engage in a physical action, carefully contemplate that bodily action in the following manner. Ask yourself, will this action I am about to perform with my body cause harm to me, to others, or to both? Really interesting interpretation of what to do and what not to do. If something, when you do some action, you need to contemplate whether it is harmful to me, harmful to others, and harmful to both of us. Will it result in an unwholesome bodily action with painful consequences? If, upon reflection, you discern that the intended action will indeed cause harm to yourself, others, or both, and that it leads to an unwholesome outcome with pain, then, Rahula, it is imperative that you refrain from undertaking such a bodily action. Okay, so this is one more thing. However, Rahula, if upon thoughtful consideration you ascertain that the intended bodily action will not cause harm to yourself, to others, or to both, and that it will result in a wholesome outcome with pleasure, then without hesitation you should proceed to perform such a bodily act. So if it is beneficial to you, to others, and to both you and others, then you should proceed. Remember, this is very important, not only to yourself. If something is beneficial only to yourself, it is not the one the Buddha said. It is beneficial to others only. No, it is beneficial to both of us. The instruction given by the Buddha to Rahula in this passage emphasizes the importance of thoughtful consideration and ethical reflection before engaging in physical actions. Very important. And so before the action, and during the action, and after the action also, he has to do that. And in this sutta, it is said how when something happened after the action, how, like ongoing reflection and aftermath of the action, and it is really very, very crucial, reviewing after action. The instruction advises Rahula to engage in a retrospective examination of bodily action after they have been completed. Over here, the focus is on assessing the impact of the recently performed action on oneself, others, and whether it aligns with wholesome or unwholesome qualities. And Rahula is encouraged to inquire whether the action resulted in harm to himself, to others, or both. Additionally, the reflection includes an assessment of whether the completed bodily action was unwholesome, leading to painful outcomes. The teaching underscores that ethical considerations extend beyond the immediate execution of an action. It emphasizes the enduring impact and consequences of one's behavior. And over here, Buddha says, if you feel like you have done something harmful to yourself, to others, and to both, then you should approach a senior, Kalyana Mitta friend, and then you should, rectify the mistake. You should express that I did this confession and repentance. If Rahula, upon reflection, you discern that the bodily action have performed has caused harm to yourself, to others, to both, and it was an unwholesome action leading to painful outcomes, then Rahula, it is imperative you openly confess, reveal, and lay it bare before the teacher or wise companions in the monastic life. And again, this is very, very important. You can do it, you can reveal it to anyone. It should be a trusted, a respectable teacher, and or a companion, like we call brahmachari. Those trusted, reliable, respectable counselors, you can say that, who will not spread the gossip. Otherwise you will be in trouble. So after confessing, revealing, and laying upon the unwholesome action to the teacher or wise companions in the monastic life, you should exercise restraint in your future conduct. So now, one, you accept. First of all, very, very crucial, you accept your fault. Second, you express it, and then you make an action to rectify that mistake, to correct that mistake. Very, very important stages of one's spiritual practice. So not only to monastics, it is same applied to all the lay people as well. Now, same thing with the verbal action and also mental action. All these three steps are explained here. So I don't want to explain everything, but this is how it is. It happens in the sutta. So completely explaining each and every step of the purity of the three door. Um, so precisely, I will just give the summary now. The section introduces the importance of this sutta introduces the importance of purifying bodily, verbal, and mental actions through repeated reviewing, and this highlights the practice has been followed by recluses and Brahmins in the past. It will be followed in the future, and is currently being observed by those in the present. So, in all past, present, future, we have to practice. All of us have to practice. And then also, it is described that the practitioners um, of the past who purified their action through repeated reviewing, very, very important. Again, repeated reviewing is important. So before the action, while during the action, and after the action, um, physically, verbally, and mentally, in all these three occasions, we have to review, and that way purity can be attained. The Buddha provides specific guidance to Rahul on how he should train himself to purify bodily, verbal, and mental actions. So, this emphasizes the importance of repeated reviewing as a means of purification. So, in conclusion, the Blessed One concludes the teaching, and Rahula expresses satisfaction and joy in the Blessed One's words. The sutta is very beautifully structured to present a pattern across past, future, and present, emphasizing the continuity of the practice of purifying actions through repeated reviewing. The guidance is then personalized for Rahula, encouraging him to adopt this practice for his own spiritual development. And that's how he was, at the end of the sutta, it is said, Venerable Rahula was so happy, and he learned so many things, and he paid respect to the Buddha at the end of the sutta. And with that, I conclude, and I hope it was helpful. And thank you so much for joining. And by the power of this Dhamma teaching and Dhamma sharing, also by the power of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, may you all be well, happy, healthy. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you, help you, protect you, and guide you towards the right path. I hope this will also continuously remind us that we can be mindful in our actions in both bodily and verbally and mentally when we do something, when we say something, and when we think something, before, while, and after. We should be more mindful. And that is the lesson that we learned today. And with this, I conclude. May you all be well, happy, healthy. May all your family members, friends, and relatives, teachers, and elders, everyone in your family, everyone in your community, and everyone in the world be well, happy, healthy. May the blessings of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha be with you all. May all of you be able to live your life peacefully, comfortably with good health. May all of us and all of you and all your departed ones also be blessed by the Noble Triple Gem. May all of us and all of them and all sentient beings be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, the absolute peace and happiness at the end of our samsara. Thinking thus, please keep your palms together close to your heart and say 3 times Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Bhante. You explained the entire sutta in such a simple way. And I think every sutta is on its own, teaches us so much. And this is like a hidden gem, this Rahulavada Sutta, Ambalaṭṭhika, that 3 actions, the bodily, mental, and the verbal, and doing it in 3 steps, like reflecting it before doing the action, during, and after, and looking at the consequences. How wonderful it is if everyone follows these 3 actions with these 3 different steps. It would be so nice. And Bhante, it's amazing that Venerable Bhante Rahul, at the age of 7, he could grasp this deep understanding.
Yeah, I think Buddha was very carefully teaching him. He was not giving all the very lofty doctrinal matters to him. Look how he was very simply using, the water uh,
Yes.
and the mirror, and also the elephant, which is a very popular
Mhm.
thing. Those are, things that he used. His exceptional pedagogy as a teacher. He used it all the time. And in this particular case, he was using these parables to teach his student. uh,
Right.
and he has a powerful teacher, very exceptional spiritual master. He used those similes and parables and metaphors to teach his students. And Rahula, being the son of the Buddha, he was so humble and simple. We also need to learn this.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Do you know the in Asia mostly we do have paddy, right?
Yes.
And paddy, when it is young, it is upright.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very upright when it is young. So like strong and haughty and conceited, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it grows, when it matures, you can see, and it bends. It
Mm-hmm.
bends towards the earth, Mother Earth. And so see, the the more you are matured, the more humble you become, the more down to earth you become.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case also we can see how the Buddha was teaching Venerable Rahula how important it is to be humble, to get rid of our conceit, mana.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Bhante. Sure. It was quite interesting that you also mentioned about the suttas where the other teachings was given to Venerable Rahula as well.
Yeah, yeah. That's why we need to take the whole picture actually, how he was helping Venerable Rahula to grow, slowly allowing him to, um, practice. He didn't
Yes.
give all these very difficult, challenging doctrinal material to him at the beginning. And
Yes.
at the end of it, like when he was 18, when he was 20, and he was given more serious material, serious teachings. That's
Yeah.
also, we need to remember that. We can give all those lofty doctrinal materials to little children, maybe, or people with some lesser capacity. We
Yes.
need to think of that tendency, like temperament of the people. Then it's easier for them to grasp it.
Yes. Yeah.
So in many ways, I think this sutta is a really powerful tool for many modern teachers, and also practitioners, and also people in general,
Right.
monastics and lay people as well. We can learn so many things from this sutta alone.
I agree. Yes, Bhante.
All right. I think um, if
I
we
don't
don't
see any.
have any question, yeah, we um, can conclude. I can see like Bhante Sasana, Kusal Dhahanayaka, Poonam. After a long time, I'm seeing Poonam. Yeah, um, yeah, good to see them all, and thank you for joining us. And so we can conclude. There's another one. What's this?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Bhante. And thank you everyone for joining. It's always nice to see you all in the morning, 6 o'clock. So, and see you all next Sunday.